Take control of your health. Banish diabetes with this simple diet tip. A bad snack example would be something like a pretzel or crackers that have been packaged. Why? They feature a lot of fast-digesting carbs that can quickly elevate your blood sugar levels, and often they are manufactured with refined flour. In reality, the carbohydrate content of these items may be higher than what they list on the nutrition label, as studies actually show that those snack items include 10 more carbs than they advertise. So, it is best to consume a handful of almonds, for example, or a few low-carb vegetables with an ounce of cheese or something. When you're hungry in between meals, if you can just stop snacks altogether, that will be the best. Beverages sweetened with sugar are something people with diabetes should definitely avoid. For example, a 12-ounce can of cola has 40 grams of carbs, making it extremely high in sugar. Since most diabetics stick to 30 to 50 grams of carbs per meal, depending on their gender and activity level, 40 grams in a beverage is a lot. Another example of a sugar-sweetened beverage like iced tea or lemonade has around 45 grams of carbs. A piece, a cup, or something, 8 ounces of soda, for example, or apple juice, has 25 grams of carbs. Most of these are loaded with fructose syrup, which is linked to insulin resistance and diabetes. Studies actually suggest that people who consume these sugary beverages not only increase their risk of diabetes but also increase their risk of fatty liver disease. On the other hand, drinking water with a wedge of lemon, which is only 1 gram of carb, is practically calorie-free and a far superior option. Sugary drinks with high fructose content might actually cause belly fat that you don't want to have. They raise your cholesterol and your triglyceride levels. All of these can be super dangerous. A diet including, for example, 25% of calories from high fructose beverages increases your insulin resistance and belly fat, and your metabolic rate will go down. Eventually, you will develop obesity and diabetes. It's best to avoid sugary drinks altogether in order to keep your blood sugar levels under control and lower the risk of pretty much any disease that you can think of. The trans fats are pretty much made synthetically and are super harmful. They're made by stabilizing the unsaturated fatty acids with hydrogen, like margarine, peanut butter spreads, creamers, and frozen dinners, all of which include trans fats, and the manufacturers of baked goods, such as crackers or muffin makers, typically add preservatives to help increase the shelf life of their product. In spite of the fact that trans fats don't directly increase your blood sugar levels, they have been associated with increased inflammation, insulin resistance, and belly fat, as well as lower HDL cholesterol levels, an increase in cardiovascular risk, and, of course, diabetes. So how do you know there are actually trans fats in a product? Well, if a product label says partially hydrogenated in the ingredient list, you should avoid it. White pasta, white rice, and white bread, all those white processed foods, are high in glycemic index. So people with type 1 and type 2 diabetes, if their blood sugars are already high, should definitely avoid eating bread, bagels, and all refined flour products. This isn't limited to refined white flour-based items. Researchers actually found that even gluten-free pasta, etc., raise your blood sugars, and so forth. Another study, for example, indicated that people with type 2 diabetes and mental disabilities actually had lower brain function after eating foods high in carbs. So if you're not feeling so sharp today after eating your beloved white bread, now you know why. When someone is not so sharp, they actually call them breadhead, literally. In my country, Turkey, where I used to live, the fiber content of these foods is extremely low. And as you know, fiber reduces the risk of blood sugar spikes, etc. Now, interestingly, Italians in Italy do things a little differently than what we do in the USA. Here, they use high fiber content in their food. They use olive oil, and they actually move their booties so they burn off. As you must know by now, swapping out low-fiber foods with high-fiber ones will lower your blood sugars for sure. Diabetics will also see a drop in their cholesterol as the fiber binds the cholesterol, and as a result, insulin resistance goes down. What else does the high fiber content do? Well, it improves your gut flora, which is extremely important for your overall health. So if you have diabetes, starting your day with cereal is one of the worst things you can do. No matter how good they claim to be for you, most cereals are loaded with sugar and carbs. They also supply very little protein, which is a nutrient that can help you feel full and satisfied for a long time and help maintain stable blood sugar levels throughout the day. For diabetics, even healthy breakfast cereals are not the best option. So stay clear of that. For example, granola has 44 grams of carbs in a half-cup serving, and each serving contains no more than 7 grams of protein. So more cereals should be avoided in favor of a protein-based, low-carb breakfast to help manage blood sugar and curb your appetite. Now, fruits and berries are fine, right? But it was a different story with the dried ones. So vitamin C, potassium, and all this good stuff that comes with the fruits are great, but the dried fruits have a concentration of these nutrients. And since the water is removed, everything becomes more concentrated. Well, that also means that the sugar concentration increases in them as well. For example, grapes will include 27 grams per cup with a little fiber in there, but 1 cup of raisins with the same thing, a dried 145 grams, is drastically different. So you really have to watch out for your portion if you are eating dried fruits. And if you cannot watch your portion, it is just not worth it. Don't eat it at all. I mean, the raisins have 4 times as many carbs as grapes. Think about that. This is crazy. The carb content of some of the other dried fruits is also higher than that of regular fresh fruits. So stick with your fresh fruits, if I were you. Eating fresh berries or a few peppers, pears, and oranges with minimal sugar content will help you lose weight while also keeping your blood sugar in check. Coffee drinks with flavorings. Now, a lower risk of diabetes has been associated with drinking coffee. Don't get me wrong. But fancy coffee drinks, on the other hand, like the ones you get in the almighty Starbucks store, should be seen as a liquid dessert rather than a nutritious drink. The brain does not handle liquid as well as solid foods. So when you consume calories through beverages, you do not make up for it by eating less later, which could result in weight gain. So do not get your calories through liquids. Carbohydrates are abundant in those flavored coffee drinks. I'll give you an example. Starbucks, for example, has a 16-ounce caramel macchiato, which is around 500 cc and has around 60 grams of carbs. Whereas the blonde vanilla latte has around 30 grams of carbs in the same serving size. I would say to choose regular coffee or espresso with a tablespoon of heavy cream or half and half to keep your blood sugar under control and prevent weight gain. But remember, when you have diabetes, you need to account for small blood sugar rises due to caffeine in the coffee that may raise your adrenaline, especially in the mornings. Even if you don't have diabetes, you should stay away from French fries. Why? Carbohydrate content in potatoes is high, to begin with, and the carbohydrates can make up to 35 grams of just a medium potato with only 2.5 grams of fiber. So after everything is said and done, though, fries may do way more harm than just raising your blood sugar. It's been proven that deep frying food creates hazardous substances, which we call glycation end products and aldehydes. At high concentrations, it is possible that these chemicals actually cause a lot of inflammation in your body and enhance the chance of getting sick. Tunnel studies actually connected those high intakes of fried foods, such as French fries, to heart disease and a bunch of other cancers. Now, sweet potatoes are the best choice if you don't want to forego potatoes completely. So you can bake them and eat them in moderation. But here's a better option. Parsnips. Right? So the parsnips are good. Mashed parsnips look and taste similar to mashed potatoes and have a lower amount of carbohydrate. Here's the tip of the day. If you're in love with sweet potatoes, boil them. When you boil as long as possible, you are going to change the chemical structure of that sweet potato, preventing the blood sugar spikes. Yes, boiled sweet potatoes have a low to medium glycemic index, as the boiling time is longer. For example, when boiled for 30 minutes, the sweet potatoes have a glycemic index of around 46. But when boiled for only 8 minutes, they have a glycemic index of 61. Huge difference, right? People with diabetes may benefit from yogurt, but a completely different story unfolds when it comes to fruit-flavored variations. In general, flavored yogurts are manufactured with non-fat or low-fat milk and contain a significant amount of carbs and sugar. Approximately 60% of the calories in 1 cup of fruit-flavored yogurt come from sugar. Isn't that crazy? I'd rather stick with my high-fat, plain, creamy Greek yogurt, and guess what? Fage is my favorite brand. It's super creamy. Here's another thing. Frozen yogurt is viewed as a healthier alternative to ice cream by many people. However, it is possible that it contains as much sugar as ice cream, if not more. So don't get deceived there. I would say to choose plain whole milk yogurt instead of high sugar flavored yogurts that can spike your blood sugar and insulin and harm everything that you're dealing with. Your cholesterol, diabetes, and even your gut. So plain whole milk contains a lot less sugar, although it has some natural carbs. It's a lot better than the flavored ones. These are almost as bad as white table sugar, and like candies or cookies, they are all pretty much the same. They are different types of sugar, but they're old sugar and they will raise your blood sugar. So they are all examples of natural sugars, and they do not really have a lot of fiber. They're not like processed white sugars. They're a little bit better, but they still significantly spike your blood sugar. So stay clear of them.